All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here to close things out for the week this Friday, February 26th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. As I just said, let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everybody can hear me loud and clear. I want to hop right into the thick of things. We ended up seeing this FSR trade break a new all-time high, of course, here once again today. Great to see Gene, Ron, Michael, Stefan, Lori, and a quick shout out actually to all of our new gold students joining us here today. We have Craig D, we have Dan M, and Daniel B all joining us here as new students. So welcome aboard, folks. And, for all of us streaming on social media, welcome on back. So, this FSR trade ended up making a fantastic pop yesterday, and I tried recording it pretty much at the same time as I was doing this meeting and then afterwards, and we didn't really see it make as fantastic of a pop as we see here now. So allow me just to put the Dow chart up for the meantime. Dow dropped off after the market had opened up, but FSR, man, this thing, after coiling up, I guess you could say, underneath 2250, thing just took off right away after the last breakout going into like 11:15, 11:30 Eastern time. So, man, just broke an all-time high, made the move that we would have hoped for yesterday. And with that, this is pushing right back up. So for the afternoon, certainly we're just going to put this on our main watch list. Just wanted to go over this channel pretty quickly. It ended up building this really nice channel off these lows and highs. And, for what it's worth, the volume died off. So if it's not going to break out any further, it's just going to break down below. So this was actually a pretty good short opportunity. As soon as it broke that channel, I was in for a very small position, 100 shares, just playing the waters on a very low volume Friday. Otherwise, I'd say FSR not low volume, but nonetheless just ended up making a nice bounce roughly around where I got out. 25.90 was my exit. Ended up essentially holding that. 26 moved right back on up now. So yeah, the FSR trade definitely going to put back on our watch list, more so for the reason that it's moving back up. So I don't expect this to necessarily drop back down to 25 or 23 like I was hoping for. Once it broke the channel, I ended up realizing it was building support, so I had to fold my cards pretty quickly there. So yeah, for right now, it's moving right back on up. See if this can break a new all-time high. Now, I will say I'm not recording this trade right now. I wish I was from earlier, but for all of us in the phase 2 stock course, for all of us inside the trading room that have access to the phase 2 course, we're going to be talking about, conveniently enough, all-time highs and lows. So, we tried recording the stock yesterday as it was first breaking out, and it didn't really make as clean of a move. We'll talk about it. And then from here, we'll discuss at least the big pop from the mid-morning and into right now. So let's just go through, folks, quickly from the top percent gainers list through the losers list, see what else we got. The FSR just making its push right up to the high 2780. So the FSR trade was beautiful, right? Beautiful trend, provided good opportunity as a short on the break of that channel. This is the complete opposite of what FSR is. This is obviously moving up, but it is just as choppy as could be. It's very difficult to read minute by minute. Liquidity is all right. Penny spread, decent order book in terms of the size of a lot of the orders. It's easier to acknowledge support resistance at some of these prices, but that's what you would like to think by reading the matrix there. Otherwise, it's been a very difficult stock to try and anticipate clean breakout trades on. So don't get me wrong, it's squeezing back up, once again, and the high of the day is off 658, so it pretty much has another 90 cents to go right now. I don't mind putting this on the side for the meantime. I probably wouldn't be surprised, or I won't be surprised, I should say, if I put this on our main watch list just at the end. But I want to see if there's anything else just looking better, setting up for an easier opportunity, perhaps. Yep. Oof. I don't know what's going on here. Sorry about that. Should have had my phone off there. FSR warrants number 2. We're not going to focus on the warrants as we are going to focus on the equity. LIXT here. Wow, this ended up making a big push in pre-market, but as soon as the market opened up, right? Same with this as we see with a lot of these, small cap pops in pre-market, ended up dumping off right away, never really set itself up for a good move back up after, ended up diving down, I guess, here to the low at the time. We caught this during class. I thought we were looking at this roughly around, it was more like here, yeah, like 535, 537. So it ended up actually breaking above that price after, made for a clean breakout from where we left off with it in the phase 2 course, but ended up actually dying off from that point, peaked up towards just about 615, 620-ish here, and then pulled back. So yeah, right now, just not going to be too focused on this. INTZ, the FSR, obviously on our list already. It's already at 28, breaking a new all-time high right now. I don't want to fumble around and try and set up another platform, try and record. I'm going to miss the move and just take too long here. So we'll talk about that trade, folks, coming up in the class. The AFI trade, this is one I was talking about from the class this morning, in fact, and very briefly, it's not going to be like really that tradable right now, but I was really looking for a gap fill on the way down here this morning. It's shortable, whereas the LIXT was not, so whereas that dropped off and would have made for a great short. This did drop off a little bit, but ended up slowing down pretty fast, pushed back up towards 5, actually made a pretty quick pop from there. So I did all right on this trade as a short. I think I picked up like 16 or 17 cents, and then I ended up taking a couple small losses just before. But, right now it's just pretty flat. So we're not going to focus on this trade for the afternoon. Maybe keep it in mind for next week. Ended up making like a big gap down back, a week or two ago, and then, funky gap up here. So there's a lot of volatility with this trade. You just got to catch it on the right morning. The AUVI, not much going on there. OCGN, there should be a lot going on here. Speaking about volatility and gaps and ranges, the OCGN, obviously, we saw this going back into earlier this month, made a huge push from like 3 all the way to 6, gapped up all the way, towards just about, it gapped up to basically 9, and then popped right from there up towards a high of almost 20. So for what goes up comes back down. The stock was shortable back then when it dropped off. It was shortable this morning, although there was no short on this trade. Ended up beginning to push right back up. It broke above 850 resistance, took off pretty quickly. One of our students, Norman, called this out to me in our coaching session earlier. We missed this fly all the way up towards just about 1055. I ended up doing better on the way down. The stock was a great short. Like I'd said from a few weeks ago, as it pulled back down after the run up, well, same thing happened here. Ended up beginning to make lower highs, pulled back down below 10. Ended up doing pretty good on this short from 10 here. Ended up squeezing all the way down just towards about 920-ish, 925, and pushed back up. So in terms of the tradability, the volatility, I should say, we're going to put this on our list definitely. OCGN. Good spreads. Ended up topping off just before here at $10, so easy to see level. I know Fausto was looking at this JE trade from earlier today, filling the gap on the way up. And we didn't talk about this one as much in class. So, really quickly, you could see on the daily chart, notice it did gap down after this day, but there is a gap based off of this low. So, 523, you could say, is the gap to fill based off this low. And here today, pushed all the way up towards the high. Yeah, fell 10 cents short still, 513. So, you could still just say that. It's just the fact that you wouldn't have expected the gap to be based off of this like close or this low even. No, I mean, you had a day before where it's actually lower. So that's how you would interpret that. So a plug make a nice move today. PLUG pushed up pretty nicely right before class, at least, popped up from like 45, just about up to 50. Checking on fuel cell FCEL while we're at it. Topped off, I thought about just around 1750 earlier today. I was looking for a re-entry on that trade or a re-break over 1750 if plug kept pushing. So no surprise now that both, pretty flat. Wayfair up 11%. I guess would be earnings on that, but I'm not sure. I guess maybe for as much as they dropped off the day before, maybe they had earnings earlier in the week. I'm uncertain. Either way, just pretty expensive. Just wanted to check in on the price. Speaking of a pump and dump type move here, Rocket RKT ended up making a big push in pre-market. I know that their CEO was on CNBC. Ended up making a big squeeze up, but came right back down. And it's not to say that you would have expected the pullback after 930. I mean, perhaps you would have seen a higher low for this to re-break above a resistance off of like $23, but it never even made that it never made that move up until like 12:30 in the afternoon. And at that point you would expect for it to be resistance. You wouldn't expect a clean like breakout after 3.5 hours or 2.5 hours of just dropping off and selling. So yeah, at this point right now it's just pretty weak, but I was looking for a move off of 22 a bit earlier. I ended up taking like an 8-cent loss off of 22 from this false break here. I was more hopeful to see this squeeze back up. Ended up stopping me out. And at this point now, maybe it makes that move, but it's just, again, end of the week. I'm not really too interested in that. I want to see something trading a lot more volatility than this so far. Big volume spike here. I don't know what the hell happened on this VTGN. I just saw it on the 5-minute chart right away. And yeah, so on the tape, you could just see from the last few minutes, just now, pretty much, 237, a slew of prints, like sell prints here in red. 89K or 90K just about, 60K just about, 143 or 4K here. So don't know what's going on at 237. Looks like a lot of selling or perhaps short selling or perhaps even buying just based on the reaction after here. I count that as sell prints. So, if this ends up re-breaking under 237 or so, then I think there's a chance to see this like really tank. But, for right now, it's pushing back up pretty nicely right away. So we'll see. We'll kind of put this on our side list given that spike. Otherwise, it's like as dead as can be. And just pretty slow. It was pushing up a bit, but this is the thing that interests me more right now. All right, so let's hop over to the losers list right now, folks. Market's down 338 points and counting, so I'm sure that we're going to find a little bit more on the losers list as that pushes up yet another penny, I think. The REPH is shortable for TradeStation users here. It's at the low of the day. I like that. So check to see if it's shortable from you. If you don't have TradeStation, if it's not, then focus on something else from our list so far. But yeah, right now we don't really have too much to work with. We have the FSR, the OCGN. This is shortable for right now. Ended up making a huge gap down on the daily chart. Obviously, pre-market activity included there, but ended up like really making a little squeak up towards like 360 or I guess that's 4 at first. And oh no, this was the market open. I'm looking at this peak here. I'm like, is that 4? No, 370. Yeah, that's what I thought. 370. This squeaked up to, and then after that, just fell flat. So I'll add this to our list on the way down. I mean, you don't really find these stocks below $5 to be shortable that often. So this is a nice surprise. TDCA, not under 5, but pretty close. And also shortable dropped off in the post market yesterday. I don't know what the news is. We're just going to conserve time for class. But as opposed to the REPH, this is like really flat, like legitimately flat as can be right now. The REPH, I was saying before, just kind of fell flat from the 370 resistance, and then obviously now spiking down pretty nicely. What goes up comes back down. The CDXC, Fausto's move from yesterday that exploded, right? And from $10 after the market opened up, we called this out right away. I mean, we as in him. I don't want to take credit for that. That was all Fausto there. So pushed all the way up towards just about a high of like 24 at the time, I think, and then dumped off. But yeah, what goes up comes back down. This is shortable. It was shortable yesterday. We were wondering when the drop-off was going to be, and we thought it was going to be at some point today, if not the morning. But hey, this is a level 5 stock, I'd imagine, just based on the spread. It already dropped off so much already. So the question you should start to be thinking about is, at what point does it begin to just exhaust or even spike back up? It looks like it broke below support off 17 or roughly 1750 perhaps from earlier, now at 15. So, hey, if you're a level 5 trader in our trading room, you know who you are. Maybe you focus on this, but if we're just talking one over the other, the REPH is cheaper, has much tighter spreads. It's just easier to follow. It looks a little bit flatter compared to the other one, but looking at this drop off here across the last 20 minutes, it's not a bad move. It's a level 1 stock. Definitely good stock to try and practice shorting on. Oh, dropped another 2 cents. There we go. All right, what else we got here, folks? I think that just about wraps it up, at least from my eye. I don't really see much else that looks like a familiar name that would be tradable, shortable up. Right as I say that, Workhorse. So Workhorse, I should have saw this right away, rather, but ended up dropping off. I mean, shortly after the open, little pop and then drop back down. So yeah, this one definitely going to make on our watch list again. Again, we're not at a shortage, but we're not too overwhelmed with stocks on our list so far. So the Workhorse we'll re-add on the way down. All right, John calling out the Viacom trade, VIAC at 64.50. Nice recovery from yesterday's drop-off. Liquid order book for a $64 stock. It's a good side list stock if you did well on it from earlier today, or if you want to follow it, then, it looks decent like a setup, right? Holding that resistance pretty nicely. Scott asking about the cost, or not asking, he's saying cost moving up nicely, rather. Yeah, spiking up pretty quickly. This is a pretty good push up. So how about this? I'm going to combine two call outs right now because CAS, you could see going back into late January, popped up and down at the same time as GameStop did. We have one of our members on YouTube right now asking about AMC. So let's just check them out here. GameStop, AMC, CAS popped and dropped at the same time. So CAS is getting a lot more of a pop than the others so far. It's more volatile, I should say at least. But yeah, AMC squeaking up a little bit. I mean, hey, I'm not going to be a hater just yet of AMC, although it whooped my butt yesterday. I had a much better day today than yesterday, at least. But yesterday, AMC whooped my butt, just not like big losses, but I picked the wrong direction. So I took a bunch of these tiny losses over and over. And that was actually right after I said, I think from the meeting before, back on Wednesday, I was like, oh, I normally do good on AMC. That's one of the stocks I do all right on. So why not, So listen, I'm not a total hater, but right now I just think after this squeeze up, be a little more reluctant here just before it ends up potentially moving back up again. So, let's see if this could break under and over 8. And then if it could break under and over 8, hold from there and run up again. So that would be the hope. Keep a good eye on GameStop. Otherwise, just use that as like your indicator, your ETF almost, so to say. In the sense of just saying this is a much more volatile stock. They're moving pretty similarly right now. So if you see like a big pop on GameStop, just wouldn't shock you to see a big pop on AMC. John says one letter out from AMC, Josh. AMD was better. There we go. So let's jump to AMD, at least from today. Bounced from 83, held off just about 85.50 essentially there. And check out our lovely Riot, our Mara, and then along with that, I did want to drag up Bitcoin going into the weekend for anyone streaming on social media. I didn't have it up yesterday, but I want to just jump to it pretty quick because, well, if you recall back on, I think it was Wednesday's trading, just because yesterday we saw it push back up, but Wednesday, I was concerned about this. I was concerned about the fact that we saw a lot of chop around the 500 EMA on the 1 hour chart. Not the chop I was worried about, but I was worried about these closes below the 500 EMA. Well, right after we finished up that meeting, like literally here on this bar at 3 o'clock Eastern that day, it spiked right back up, popped right back up. Well, all is well, right? Not just yet. It's pulled back down across the last evening, heading into this morning. Going into the open, it bounced back up a bit. But heading into the weekend, though, obviously thinking long term, you were seeing a drop, a lower high here, and then a push back down. So good news will, of course, spark a new move back up or some sort of pop. But otherwise, if there's no, event or no news coming out over the weekend, no like CEO or company dipping into Bitcoin or making it official, then we might happen to see this begin to shake down even a bit more. And that's where I'll kind of drag back my 6 hour chart that I had up originally from that day, Wednesday this week. So I was saying at the time that it was certainly possible to see this pull down should this drop off more from this EMA. Now on the 6 hour chart, this is the 100 EMA on the 6 hour, roughly around the same price as the 500 on the hour. But, I think that perhaps if this continues shaking down, that we could see this probably dropping down towards about 41,000. Maybe this, EMA here, the 200 on the 6 hour chart. I like using the hour and 6 hour charts. That's my personal preference. So to each their own there, everyone's going to have their own different charts, different EMAs, but at least as of now, from where the last time I spoke about crypto, Bitcoin, and showed you the charts, it pushed up a bit, but then now since again, our move back down. So there might be a bit more to come here. All right. So just be aware with Mara and Riot in that regard too. All right, folks. So if there's anything else that's moving left, right, up, or down, let me know. If there's anything else that looks good, might I add? Kathleen saying the EXPR also moving alongside with the AMC, the GameStop. Yep, that one's a cheapie. So that's a good one to watch too, right alongside AMC. CAS is still spiking up here a bit, folks. So, that might be the more active of all of these so far heading into the afternoon. I'll add this to our main list. If you've done well on this trade in the past, then I would say for you folks to look to trade it. For anyone else that's not joining me in class and has yet to trade this stock or is new, there's plenty of other stocks to trade out there. And those that are on our list here, like, again, I can't stress enough, the REPH, Well, hey, it actually spiked right back up after we last left off with it here. So I may have jinxed it, but this stock still has great tradability in the sense that it has a penny spread. It's down big, it's shortable. So if it pulls back down here, we might end up seeing a lower low. Otherwise, we might see a bit of a recovery, a dead cat bounce, as we talked about from the morning class. All right, so folks, if there's anything else here, just let me know. Oh, if you missed the Bitcoin chart for all of us live inside the trading room, I'm going to copy and paste. I probably screen projected the wrong way, or not the wrong way, but just differently. So I'll copy and paste for all of us inside the live trading room there. Don't worry. Do that right away here. All right, folks. So for all of us on social media, first and foremost, enjoy your weekend. As always, it's going to be nice and sunny out here in Long Island for the first time in a while. So be a nice change of pace here. Step outside right after the market closes. Enjoy it. All right, so folks, aside from that, though, if you're interested in learning more about Cyber Trading University, just make sure that you like, subscribe, notify right on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/cybertradingu. Otherwise, feel free to join us. Go to the link right down on the banner below to sign up to join us inside our trading room. For all of us inside Cyber Group, we're going to post the link for class. We're going to post the picks, of course, coming up here right away after. And aside from that, I look forward to seeing most of us inside the Phase 2 course later on here. Take care.